Welcome back. I hope you are doing great. As a part of this lecture, we'll understand about the functions. First of all, what is a function? Function is nothing but a block of code which runs when it is called. What do I mean by that? So far, have we not written any block of codes? Yes, we have. For example, in the previous lectures, we have understood about loops and also if else statements. Haven't we written a block of code there? Yes, we have written. But in that case, if you have observed, when we run that code, it just runs. But on the other hand, when we use a function, it's a block of code. It runs only when it is called. That is making a difference. What we can do is we can pass the data, which are also called as arguments or parameters into function. Once we pass those arguments into the function, depending upon what you have specified to be done, function will take those arguments and process that data the way you want, whatever the code you have specified under the function name. I hope it's clear now. Why do we really need function? When we can do the things sequentially, the way we had done in a while loop, in if else statements, why do we really need a function? Function is needed for different reasons. Let us say you want to do any repetitive task, or you want to have any code which need to be used multiple times as a part of your whole application. That is when function comes into picture. That is one of the important reason. The second thing is when you have a block of code named as a function, then testing will be easy. Two primary reasons being, whenever you want to reuse the statements you have written in a different part of your code, then it is better to have a function in a way that helps in better testing and better modularization of the code. These are the reasons for which we need to have a function. How do we create a function? Very simple. We can create a function by a keyword def, def, and we can provide the name of the function after that, and then you have to provide a two braces. Then you have to specify a colon, and under that you can mention the statements. These statements being whatever you want to get this function to do. We'll take one more example. The example being you want to add two numbers. Addition is something which will be used across the application, right? Instead of you writing the same code again and again, you can go for a defining a addition function. The way we can do it is def, then provide the name of the function as add. This is the name of the function. Open a brace. Since you need two numbers to be added, and you will not be adding the same numbers again and again, right? For that you need to pass the parameters or arguments. Here we are passing x and y. Then we have to specify the colon. After that, provide a statement what need to be done. In this case, c is equal to x plus y. Go ahead and say print c. Wonderful, isn't it? Next time, all you have to do is add and say 5 comma 6. It will print the value. When you call this function with the arguments, it will give the result as 11. And you can call that function again. You can call that function as many number of times as you want. Let us say 4 comma 6. You can give it 10. And you can call for a bigger numbers also. That is the beauty of the function. So whenever you want to do something repetitively and you want to modularize your code, better to include the statements into a block and make a function out of it. Call it as many number of times as you want. As I said, in the beginning itself, the function will not execute until you call it. How do you call a function? It's very simple. All you have to do is you have to take the name of the function and go ahead and call it. We'll see it as a part of the practical. It will be a bit more intuitive. As we already discussed, we can pass the arguments into the function. When we say arguments, as we discussed already in our previous example, if you want to have the two numbers added, you can pass the arguments. These are the arguments. Arguments are specified after the function name inside the parenthesis. This is the parenthesis. And it is up to you to add as many arguments as you want. Here we are taking one more example. This is the keyword. This is the name of the function, and this is an argument. We are passing only one argument, which is also called as a parameter. And then this is the statement, what you want to get the execution done. What you can do is this can be replaced by Emil, Tobias, Linus. Wonderful, isn't it? Sometimes it so happens that you don't know how many arguments you pass. In that case, what you can do is you can add star arguments as a part of your function. So that way, whatever the item you want to access from that function, you can easily do that when you execute the function. In this case, instead of just providing the kits, I am providing it as a star kits. And then my statement would be the youngest child is kids 2. What it does is it will print youngest kid being Linus, because in this tuple what we are having is it is a 0, 1, 2. It will print the Linus. It will say the youngest child is Linus. While defining the function, sometimes we do provide a default value. For example, in this case, we are providing the country name as Norway. What it means is either I can pass an argument that will be taken. In case if you are not passing any argument like this in the third line, it will take the default value as a Norway. This is the default parameter value. Also, you can pass either string or a number or a list or dictionary as a parameters to the function. It will be treated in the same data type inside the function. So there is no different treatment for the different types of data. Just to take an example here, what we are doing is this is our argument or parameter. And remember, we are putting our for loop into use here. For x in food, print x. So our list is fruits. Within that we have 1, 2, and 3. Now, when I call this function with this value, it will go ahead and print all these fruits. So that way, even though I am passing only the fruits as an argument, Python has a intelligence to decipher, oh, okay, this is a list. I need to print them one by one. That is how you can pass a list as an argument. Sometimes it so happens that we don't want something to be done as a part of the function itself. Means we don't want to print the value. We don't want the printing to be done as a part of the function. If we just want a value to be returned so that we can use that as a part of the code which we are writing after that. In that case, what we can do is we can use a return. Instead of specifying complete execution including the print, all we want here is we want the value to be returned so that you can use it in the upcoming code. The last thing before we wind up this lecture, Python also accepts the function recursion. What does it mean? Recursion in a mathematical programming concept is a function calling itself. You can see it right here. A function is calling itself, that is called as a recursion. This definitely has a benefit so that we can loop through the functionality one after the other. But you got to be very careful here. If you use the recursion without proper knowledge, without properly taking care of when it has to be broken, then you may end up having the code running for infinity and causing the crashing of the application. So you got to be careful while using the recursion. Let us take an example here. Look at this. We are defining a function called try recursion, and again within this function we are calling the same function. That is where we are calling it as a recursive function. We are passing on a value, assuming that we have passed a 6. So what exactly happens here is, for the first time the value of the k is 1. Here we are saying 1 is greater than 0. Okay, then it will become 1, then plus 1 minus 1 is 0. That means the first value will be 1. Next is 2, right? It will come here. Oh, 2 is greater than 0. Then it will become 2, then plus 2 minus 1 is equal to 1. 2 plus 1 is equal to 3. Then it will become 3. Like that, it will go on recursing until it hits 6. Wonderful. Then we'll see all these examples as a part of our practical class. Thank you.